Did you know? An estimated 8.4 million Americans grapple with an eating disorder at some point in their lives? This is not just a statistic, it's a stark reality that underscores the magnitude of a largely unspoken epidemic. Eating disorders, often shrouded in silence and misunderstanding, are complex conditions that can affect anyone regardless of age, gender, or background. They are not a choice or a phase, but serious health conditions that require understanding, empathy, and professional intervention. In this dialogue, we're going to explore 5 types of eating disorders: anorexia nervosa, bulimia nervosa, binge eating disorder, avoidant restrictive food intake disorder, and orthorexia nervosa. Each one unique, each one a battle being fought by countless individuals every day. Understanding these disorders is the first step towards fostering empathy and breaking the cycle of stigma. So let's start this journey together. In the next few minutes, we will delve into the complexities of these disorders, starting with anorexia nervosa. Anorexia nervosa, a disorder characterized by an intense fear of gaining weight and a distorted body image. This fear isn't just a passing worry or a simple dislike for body fat. It's an all-consuming dread that can take over a person's life, dictating their every thought and action. Anorexia nervosa manifests in a relentless pursuit of thinness, often to the point of extreme. Those affected might engage in severe calorie restriction or excessive physical activity to prevent any possible weight gain. It's not uncommon for individuals with anorexia nervosa to perceive themselves as overweight, even when they're dangerously underweight. This distorted self-perception is one of the defining characteristics of the disorder. It's important to understand that anorexia nervosa is not a choice or a lifestyle decision, but a serious mental health condition. It's also not just about food or weight, but deeper psychological issues and a desperate need for control. The health risks of anorexia nervosa are severe and can be life-threatening. They include everything from anemia and muscle weakness to bone loss, heart problems, and multi-organ failure. The mental health implications are also significant, with increased risks of depression, anxiety, and even suicidal tendencies. The unwillingness to maintain a healthy weight is another key symptom of anorexia nervosa. Despite the obvious health risks, individuals with anorexia nervosa may deny the seriousness of their low body weight and may not recognize or accept that they have a problem. This denial and resistance to change make the disorder particularly challenging to treat. In conclusion, anorexia nervosa is a complex and serious disorder, with physical and psychological implications that extend far beyond a simple fear of gaining weight. It's a condition that requires understanding, compassion, and professional intervention. Next, we move on to a disorder that often goes hand in hand with anorexia, bulimia nervosa. Bulimia nervosa, a disorder marked by cycles of overeating followed by self-induced vomiting, use of laxatives, or excessive exercise. In the labyrinth of eating disorders, bulimia nervosa stands as a complex and often misunderstood condition. It's not simply about eating too much or too little, but about a destructive cycle of binging and purging. This cycle is not a choice, but rather a compulsion, a desperate response to emotional distress. The first part of this cycle, the binge, might be familiar to many of us. It's that moment when you lose control, when the need to eat becomes overwhelming. But for someone with bulimia nervosa, this isn't just an occasional overindulgence. It's a regular occurrence, often triggered by stress, anxiety, or feelings of worthlessness. During these binges, the individual may consume an astonishing amount of food, often high in sugar or fat. The eating is rapid and seemingly without end until they feel uncomfortably or even painfully full. But it's not the binge itself that defines bulimia nervosa. It's what comes next, the purge. The fear of weight gain becomes so intense that the individual feels compelled to undo the binge. This might involve self-induced vomiting, misuse of laxatives, or hours of excessive exercise. And so the destructive cycle continues. This cycle is more than just physically damaging. It's a cruel merry-go-round of guilt and self-loathing. There's a feeling of being out of control during a binge, followed by a desperate scramble for control through purging. This can lead to severe physical complications, including electrolyte imbalances, gastrointestinal problems, and heart issues. But remember, bulimia nervosa is not a choice, and it's not about vanity. It's a serious mental health disorder that requires understanding, compassion, and professional help. Now, let's turn our attention to another form of binging disorder, binge eating disorder. Binge eating disorder, characterized by recurrent episodes of eating large quantities of food to the point of discomfort. This isn't just about overeating during holiday feasts or the occasional indulgence. Binge eating disorder, or BED, is a serious condition that's about more than just food. It's about a loss of control, and it can deeply impact a person's life. Imagine feeling a compulsion, an overwhelming urge that drives you to consume large quantities of food, often very quickly and to the point of discomfort. This is the reality for individuals living with binge eating disorder. It's not a choice, it's not a lack of willpower. It's a mental health disorder that requires understanding, compassion, and professional help. The symptoms of BED are complex and often hidden. The hallmark of this disorder is the frequent episodes of uncontrollable binge eating. This is not just eating a lot, it's eating excessively in a short period, often in secret, and it's accompanied by feelings of distress. People with BED often describe feeling unable to stop or control their eating during these episodes. But it doesn't stop there. What sets BED apart from other eating disorders is the absence of compensatory behaviors. Those with BED don't regularly use methods such as self-induced vomiting, excessive exercise, or extreme dieting to undo the binge eating. This lack of purging behaviors, however, doesn't make the disorder any less serious or deserving of attention. The emotional toll of BED is immense. Feelings of guilt, shame, and distress often accompany these binge episodes. These emotions aren't just fleeting discomfort, they can linger, feeding into a vicious cycle of emotional distress and further binge eating. It's crucial to remember that binge eating disorder is a real, diagnosable medical condition. It's not a reflection of an individual's character, strength, or value. Just like any other mental health disorder, it's something that requires professional help and understanding. Our exploration continues with a lesser-known disorder, Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder. Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder, a condition marked by a disturbance in eating or feeding, and Orthorexia nervosa, an obsession with healthy eating. Two lesser-known but equally important eating disorders that we'll unpack in this segment. Let's start with Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder, often abbreviated as ARFID. This condition is characterized by a disturbance in eating or feeding behaviors that results in significant nutritional deficiency or weight loss. It's not about body image or a fear of gaining weight, unlike some other eating disorders we've discussed. Rather, it's about an extreme aversion to certain food textures, colors, smells, or even the mere thought of eating. Imagine being unable to eat a meal because the texture of the food makes you gag, or perhaps the color of a certain food triggers an intense fear. These reactions can be so severe that individuals with ARFID may limit their diet to such an extent that they become malnourished. Now let's shift gears to Orthorexia nervosa. Unlike ARFID, Orthorexia nervosa is characterized by an extreme obsession with healthy or clean eating. You might think, what's wrong with eating healthy? Well, nothing, until it becomes an obsession. When the pursuit of a healthy diet starts to interfere with a person's life, causing them stress and anxiety, it crosses into the territory of Orthorexia nervosa. Those with this disorder can become so fixated on the quality of their food that they may avoid social events where unhealthy foods might be served. They may spend excessive amounts of time planning and preparing meals and feel extreme guilt or self-loathing when they deviate from their strict diet. It's not about the quantity of food, but the perceived quality. The important thing to remember about both ARFID and Orthorexia nervosa is that they are not lifestyle choices or fads, but serious conditions that can have severe physical and psychological consequences. They can affect anyone, regardless of age, gender, or background. Treatment for both conditions often involves a multidisciplinary approach with a team of professionals that may include a dietitian, a psychologist, and a medical doctor. Cognitive behavioral therapy can be particularly effective, helping individuals to identify and challenge their distorted thoughts and beliefs about food. Avoidant Restrictive Food Intake Disorder and Orthorexia nervosa are lesser known, but that doesn't make them any less serious or important to understand. These disorders can profoundly impact a person's life, and it's crucial that we raise awareness, increase understanding, and reduce the stigma associated with them. Understanding these disorders is the first step towards creating a supportive environment for those who struggle. Remember, empathy and understanding are key.